He must be the branch manager. This.
I went from sympathy to empathy with how awkward this is. That's pretty.
Thank you all for coming out on this fine snowy evening.
Sounds like it's Halloween.
Talk about how this is more awkward than if there were 200 people. But thanks for coming. We are here at the Family Center.
Oh, you got to use the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're here with Dickens Family Center. Hey, Declan. Yeah. So a couple of things before Jesse presents to us on healthy social media habits. If you are so inclined, there's a donation box for the food pantry. And then there are cookies at the back. There might be enough to go around, so feel free to use those. And yeah, so my name is Christina Higgins. Dickens Family Center. I do parent coaching. I do the postpartum doula, and yeah, so and I do supervised visitation. So I'm just excited to have everybody here tonight. Jesse is a marriage and family therapist, and I'll let him introduce himself a bit more. Before I do that, though, we want to thank Smith's for providing the cookies for us tonight. And yay! And we want to thank those amazing souls who helped us set up. So thank you for that. All right, Jesse, take it away.
I win.
Put the clicker.
It's my hand.
Oh. That's cute.
It is cute.
Okay. So, we're going to get to know each other pretty well. This is the second time I've done a similar presentation to this. The first time I did it was for the Terra Academy. They had like a parent night. And there was just about as many people that showed up. So I don't know if it's the topic. It could be the weather. Maybe it's the weather. This is kind of loud. So, yeah, so we're going to talk about social media real quick. Yeah. So our relationship with our phones and social media is complicated, right? You know, the Facebook relationship status, complicated, right? That was kind of supposed to be punny and get some giggles, but apparently it didn't.
Now to our social experiment of what happens when a group of teens are challenged to unplug, giving up social media, online games, and going offline for an entire week. Lindsay Janice is here with the very brave test and the results. Good morning, Lindsay.
I'm really glad I wasn't living with one of these teens forced to give up their phone. This experiment was conducted by a parenting website designed to monitor how these kids were feeling every step of the way during their digital detox, many of them revealing just how attached they are to their phones.
I think like 90% of my friendships like rely on my phone.
I use my phone a lot as a stress relief.
We're gonna ask each of you to give up all the fun stuff on your phone for one whole week.
I don't like it.
She Knows Media challenged 10 New York City teens to disconnect digitally for 7 days. No social media, no streaming videos, and no texting.
Your parents have all signed off on this. How does that make you feel now?
Betrayed, stressed, nervous.
When you talk about withdrawal, you look at various levels of it. So I think at one end of the spectrum, the kids who are very used to it are a little anxious, a little twitchy. And then at the other end of the spectrum is if you take it away completely, does it make somebody physically anxious and you see them sweating, does their heart rate?
During the week, they reported on their progress.
I've had one of those nights where I'm just like, I need my phone. I need it, I need it, I need it. So I constructed myself this. It's my fake phone. It's actually much nicer because when we're hanging out, we're not on our phones as much.
At the end of the 7 days, the moment of truth.
I slipped up one time, I think, and it was texting my sister. Friday, I sent a video to my friend on Snapchat, and I was like, oh shoot, and then she replied, and I didn't check it.
But how did giving up all that screen time make them feel?
Refreshed, relieved, calm, good.
Just doing this digital detox is showing me how much I use social media, and I haven't really thought about how much I use it until I don't have it anymore.
Henry confessing he felt stressed because his phone helps him unwind.
This week, Henry did slip up.
I logged into my YouTube.
I would by no means call it a fail. It was a challenge, and a challenge is not supposed to be easy.
JoJo says she found herself doing things she once loved to do again.
She wasn't distracted. She listened to music. She spent more time with us. I really enjoyed it.
Psychiatrist Greg Dillon says the amount of screen time matters, but even more important are the activities kids engage in and how it impacts their mood.
If you watch your kids and talk to them and slow it down and understand what they're using it for, then it can be perfectly healthy and normal.
So for all the anxiety the experiment initially created, most of the kids said they would now consider voluntarily giving up some screen time. And when they were asked who they would challenge to do a digital detox next, they all said their parents.
Yeah.
And they didn't think their parents would be up to doing it. They didn't think they could do it.
It might be harder for the parents than the kids. My twins turned 13 on Saturday. Daddy's got a birthday present for you. I'm taking a phone. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you. What?
So, who's done that before, like a social media fast or detox or whatever? How long? A month? Wow. How did that go?
Good. I actually deleted my whole Facebook for 5 months.
Wow.
But that was good, and then I got back on it, and I'm on it.
And then you're right back in the middle of it, right?
It's a mess.
Yeah. How about you?
It's
10 days. And how did it go?
Fine, the first couple days I was like, what is my phone looking for?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think I was on social media, and then I was like, picked it up, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, you should leave this phone, like, and then after that, like, after the first couple days, it was just like, but, yeah, the first couple days I was like, no, I have a phone.
Yeah.
So.
How about you in the back?
Mine, I think, was a week, and yeah, for the first couple of days, it was constantly finding the phone in my hand, and sometimes even like getting to scrolling before it's like, whoa, let's put that down. And then it just got to be really nice. So.
I tried, it wasn't really like a fast, but I this was a couple months ago, I deleted, you know, the app from my phone and you know, things like that. And so I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do social media, rather than just like mindlessly scrolling through it, like I wanna like have to get like an actual computer and kind of sit down and kind of do it in a more deliberate way. But then I found myself finding other not really social media apps that I was using kind of to replace some of that time. Anybody know of Quora? Okay, so like I was into Quora and that was cool and I enjoyed that. So it's hard. Social media is hard. It is complicated. For us as adults, absolutely, but you know, of course, we're worried about our kids too. What is it about social media that gets us so nervous? Bullying, cyberbullying. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff with that. Pornography.
I was gonna say when my girls are watching YouTube and all of a sudden it's a cartoon that's acting adult acts. So my girls aren't allowed to watch YouTube, and I actually don't even have internet on my phone anymore.
Yeah.
I treat my phone like an old school phone, so when I get home I plug my phone in and leave it in YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can't really control 100% what kind of content is, whether it's YouTube, whether it's social media, whether it's, I mean, I've had friends' accounts who are hacked and then they post, it's not the friend, but you know, whoever hacked their account posts something, you know, and there it is, like, you know, there's nothing that we can really do to kind of control that. Sometimes that stuff happens. What are some of the other concerns with social media? Sexting. What's interesting is, you know, I'm not that old, 35, graduated in 2001. There was no, I was just thinking about it earlier, well, I think it was yesterday, I was thinking about all the things that have kind of changed that adolescents have to deal with now that I didn't even know were a thing or even were possible. You've got vaping, you've got sexting, you've got social media, you've got cyberbullying, you've got Dinosaur 30 minutes away with 3 dispensaries. The Spice, that wasn't a thing. I didn't even know what that was until I moved to Vernal. And cutting, that wasn't even a thing. I didn't know what that was when I was a kid. So a lot has changed. Like it's only been 15-ish years since I graduated high school, but it's like a completely different landscape from when it was. When I had like one of those Nokia brick phones and got in trouble, I remember vividly in English class playing Snake under the table. Like anybody else have Snake? Yeah. What's that?
I was already an adult.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah. So as parents, there's a lot of different things that have changed and a lot of things to be worried about. And you guys mentioned most of these. Cyberbullying, sexting, the isolation. I mean, even as adults, I think we can relate to that. I mean, by raise of hands, how many of us have like found ourselves looking over and over the same Facebook feed or Instagram feed just for like an hour? I mean, and you just lose track of time. You're not really doing anything. You're just kind of like refreshing. That's not a pleasurable experience. That's not fun. And from what I understand, a few years ago, one of the times Facebook got in trouble for using our data for things they shouldn't was they were able to come up with a way of predicting when people would have depression just by their Facebook habits, how often they logged in, how long they refreshed, how long, all that kind of stuff. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think you could they can also predict whether or not you're going to get a divorce. And I think if you're going to get in a new relationship, just by your Facebook habits. That's how much just the way we use these social media apps, just our patterns of use, we can give tells about things that we're not even consciously aware of. Anyway, so mental health, lack of social skills. It's rough. It's rougher now. So I've had clients who are adolescents, and it's easier for us to text each other. We're in the same room. We're literally like 10 feet apart, but it's easier for them to just kind of talk and speak with their thumbs than it is to be able to engage in a face-to-face conversation. And it's not just adolescents. I think there's a lot of adults that find some safety in that distance that our thumbs provide. But we're not as practiced in how to engage socially, just because so much of it is with our thumbs or, you know, FaceTime and I don't know, things like that. That ability to kind of engage is a learned behavior. That's not something that we're just born with. We need a lot of experience to be able to figure out how to do that.
Can I add something?
And how to connect well with others. Yeah.
So along with that.
In the back.
Yeah, you in the back.
Yeah.
It's something that I have to relearn when I spend too much time on social media. Like when my son was a little guy and I didn't get out very much, it was like I was on social media a lot, and then I'd go out in public and it was like, well, I have like nothing to say. I felt really uncomfortable with people. And even just looking at everyone's like picture perfect things, I realized I had to stop following certain people who had perfectly posed every shot with their kids, and because I just thought like, well, I'm a failure.
Right.
There's something wrong with me. So.
Yeah. It's hard, but it is something that requires practice. Absolutely. So what is it about it then that we like so much?
It's instant.
It's instant. Yeah.
You can talk to all your family.
Yeah, absolutely. I have friends that live in states, across the country, across the world, that I'm never, some of them I'll probably never see like face to face again, just because that's how kind of life is. But that's, it's nice to see how their kids are doing and what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. But it's really nice to be able to keep in touch with people. Absolutely. That was weird. Yeah, it was like a flash and a pop. Did anybody see the flash?
No.
Yeah, there was like a flash.
Whenever somebody did.
I bet it was one of those lights.
But there's flashing too. That was flashing. I wonder if somebody hit something.
Was there like a power out?
The dealership sign. Oh, yeah. I've actually hit that sign.
Yeah, that was weird. Maybe it is the apocalypse, It's just us.
But guess what?
It's just
We
us.
have tacos.
And library books.
Right.
That's right. And cookies. That's right. So what else is it about social media that we like? Why do we keep going back? Day after day, maybe even minute by minute.
I'm anti-social, so I like it better than being social.
Yeah. It's on your terms, 100%. You can turn it off. You can control who you see and who you don't see. You can block people. You can filter people. You can do all kinds of stuff. I mean, you're 100% in control. Maybe not 100%, but you've got a decent amount of control of what you do and do not see when you go on. Absolutely. Anybody else?
I would say for some people, it's a chance for them to be whoever they want to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or even try out different identities, and kind of see, they kind of talked about, it's a different documentary. There's a Frontline, any PBS fans? So Frontline has like a great documentary. I think it's called Generation Me or something. One of the things that it talks about in there is how youth, it's all about the likes. No, it's Generation Like, that's what it is. It's all about the likes. You know, you put, and I fall into the same trap too. You take a picture, a selfie or whatever, you put it up, and you just check it over and over again to see how many likes you're getting. And you're wondering, okay, why did this picture get so many likes, but this one got more or less or whatever, and kind of like trying to figure out, you know, you want to be the new Instagram star or whatever. You know, you want that popularity, and so you kind of play with different different identities, different personas or whatever online that you can't really do in real life. Yeah, that's a great one. So what can we do as parents and adults to help our kids? You know, I think I got Facebook when I was probably 25 or so. I didn't have, you know, it wasn't when I was 12. It wasn't when I was 8.
What about MySpace?
Yeah, MySpace. I never had MySpace. I never did MySpace. No. Yeah.
So what do you think is an appropriate age for children to get social media?
It's a good question. And this one really freaked me out. So when I was teaching at Utah State, it was like an elementary school lab, so we had students that were helping in an after-school program, and these are like first graders, and they were walking around with Samsung Galaxy S7s or whatever, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like the amount of power. What's that?
That's what happens at my school.
Yeah.
After school, like everyone's like in this like middle area at the school, all like gathering their phones. I'm like, what is with these kids? Most of them in the school have cell phones.
Yeah, and so it's a hard thing because it's also kind of playing a game of chicken with other parents. Like as far as like, well, if everybody else is giving cell phones and I'm the only one that's holding out and they're, you know, whatever, it's a hard question.
Delilah actually has a phone on her dad's house. So actually Daisy and Hula both have their own phones, which is crazy because they're only 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, for us, we kind of feel like there's no need for social media under 18.
Yeah.
But are we being unfair?
Because how many kids, what percentage of kids probably have social media at some point?
Yeah.
Probably high 70s, 80s, maybe even 90s, maybe even?
Probably.
It's hard, yeah.
But like we give them a cell phone at 13 to try out, and
Yeah.
you know, with big boundaries and stuff. But yeah, social media is like I don't see a need for it. Like when we do, there's certain ones we for sure don't allow, like Snapchat.
Yeah.
You know, they can have Instagram, but they can't have like WhatsApp and you know stuff like that. But and we don't want them to have Facebook either, but we're just going to, are being unfair.
Well, and that's, you know, like I kind of alluded to earlier, we don't know. I mean, the research isn't there because it is so new. We don't know developmentally. We know that there's effects, but we don't know if there is the right age.
I don't see any benefit to it, so
Yeah. I think some of the things that we can control the parents, we can't control other kids or whatever, but we can, you know, obviously control ourselves and our own social media habits and set that good example because, you know, kids and teenagers are super good at detecting hypocrisy, right? Sure. They have like a sixth sense for it, you know. If you tell them, well, you need to get off that Facebook, and then, you know, you're scrolling yourself, you know, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So that would be kind of one of my big recommendations to take away from this is that we all kind of self-reflect and see, okay, what am I doing well? What are some things that I can improve on? What are some habits or some boundaries that I would like to have my kids have, and maybe I want to use those too, even though I'm an adult. But you know, just kind of setting that example. So for just everybody, this is what's one thing that we do know. How much time is too much time on social media? And this is like for like clinical studies, when you start running into like depression and anxiety and stuff like that. At what point, how much is too much? An hour a day? What else?
2 hours.
2 hours? Another hour? Anybody else? So the research tells us no more than 2 hours is best for most people, right? That's a lot of time. 2 hours is a lot of time. And so, which is kind of nice, we have some time to play with. It'd be harder if it was like 15 minutes or something, or 30 minutes. But 2 hours is, in my opinion, that's a decent amount of time. I know there have been days that I've spent more than 2 hours on Facebook or whatever. Absolutely, I'm guilty of that. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do they exactly call social media? Is group text social media?
Are they talking apps like Facebook, Snapchat?
I think in this it's like phone time period.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Screen time, looking at.
Yeah, screen time period is 2 hours. Yeah.
I was like, not like real big on social media, but I'm sure I was thinking about better habits.
Maybe Facebook.
Pinterest is not social
I think Pinterest. I think if we go back to this picture, I think there's a Pinterest thing over here.
Keep going.
Facebook.
Right.
She spent all of
Next to Snapchat, I might add, and YouTube.
I never YouTube. I do not watch any YouTube hardly.
Like, if
Unless
we're
they
gonna
show
show
stuff,
you
but.
something.
So 2 hours, which I think, for me personally, I think that's a lot for a person, and for an adolescent and a youth in particular.
That includes tech too.
Yeah.
I would just think like throughout the day, I could add it really fast. You know, like.
Yeah.
She takes a lot.
Right? No, we need to get like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
It adds up fast.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, so I'm kind of an Apple person, not kind of, I'm I'm all Apple. And so I'm not super familiar with the Android stuff. But I know that Apple in particular, but I think a lot of companies are starting to realize that this is becoming a problem. And for example, like in the last big Apple update, they included a bunch of tools that help you track how much time you're spending on your phone in general, on particular apps, on particular websites, and to be able to set times where like you don't get notifications, and it like, I've got it set so that I think it's at like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. I have to like tell it, no, I really mean to open Facebook right now. Like it tells me, no, you're out of time for the day, and I have to like tell it, no, I'm making an exception this time. And so we have more tools available than even we did just a couple years ago, which is kind of the good news. There's a lot of cool tracking apps and stuff even just built into phones now that can help us better, get a handle on that. So these healthy boundaries, setting limits on technology for everyone in the house, especially the adults, because we gotta again set that example. So what are some examples of maybe some boundaries that you guys have that seems to be working for you? You kind of mentioned we just don't even have it. Like it's just not home. Yeah. The worst, absolutely certified the worst.
I have Netflix and my girl's like, you don't have Netflix.
Yeah.
No devices at the dinner table.
Okay, dinner table.
I have to earn, like, for the kids, I have to earn their devices.
Okay. chores or homework or something like that.
Like we have one child who's combined homeschool with him, so he's got to do some time where he can have his cell phone, and then after that, do more to keep it today.
Right, right.
Nobody has my bedtime, like, this is
Yeah.
my bedtime.
So can they take them into their bedrooms?
No.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no screens.
Right,
We don't have
perfect.
TVs in our bedrooms, we don't
Yeah.
have any of that, so.
How about for the adults?
We don't have TV in our bedroom.
Oh, that's awesome.
No.
Yeah.
We have one TV in our house, that's it, yeah.
Yeah. Because it was hard enough for me personally. I mean, full disclosure here.
Yeah, we have a laptop and it faces everything,
Okay.
you know, we can't take it, it has passcode on it, like.
But it was hard for me to move my cell phone from the nightstand within arm's reach
We should do that.
to across the room. I mean, it's like a whole other 10 feet, but I actually have to get out of bed to walk over there and get it. Like that was a hard adjustment, just putting it on the dresser on the far side of the room rather than, you know.
I used to sleep with it, like, in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I had better sleep, I should probably put it back in the kitchen. Although my cord is
By a longer cord.
I'm picturing you facing it out, right?
Yeah. So you guys mentioned this. I think dinner time, there's a lot of great research showing that just for kids, for families, that time around the dinner table is super important. And so anything that we can do, including social media limits and things like that, to make sure that that's a protected time is great. You know, family time as well. Bedtime in particular, again, there's a lot of research that says, you know, you want to turn off any screens at least an hour before you go to bed, because the blue light that comes from the screens keeps your brain going and shuts down the production of melatonin. So if we're able to shut those off about an hour before, it kind of cues our minds and our body that like, okay, it's time for dinner or dinner. Obviously, I snack, you know, I've just outed myself. And then unsupervised, what does that look like? About a month ago, I was talking to somebody, a friend, and she was mentioning that her kids, she had kind of limited, you know, had the Instagram and all that kind of stuff, and had the phone, made sure that they didn't have that, but they were using somebody else's phone, another kid's phone, to access their social media and stuff like that. And I was like, oh crap, I didn't even think about that. Like, I didn't even know.
And you said it had different accounts, right?
Yeah, so they like set up like their own separate account that the parents didn't know about on like the friend's phone. And so it just kind of, you know, really the only thing that we can do is set that example and be consistent with it. Because, you know, if there's a will, there's a way, unfortunately, with some of this stuff.
When our 14-year-old went to their 6th grade orientation, the principal told us there that previously they have surveyed the children in the middle school, and 87% of the students there had seen pornography on somebody else's phone at school.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, and they're not even allowed phones at school, like.
Right.
Especially in middle school, like they're not allowed. So
Yeah.
it's crazy, but.
Yeah. And so again, it's that, you know, the things that, you know, having a good relationship with our kids to where they feel like they can come and talk to us, and having an open dialogue and that trust and the boundaries and things like that, because it's not at 86%, it sounds like you can almost guarantee that your kid is going to be exposed to that. And so how do we plan for that eventuality that you know, when this happens, you know, come talk to me, or let's, you know, whatever, so that you can be on the same team, because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So increasing this healthy involvement, communication, checking in, you know, make sure you've got access to the passwords, I had somebody, I can't take credit for this, somebody I work with mentioned that her kids don't even have the password to their own accounts. Like, she set the password. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I didn't think about that. That's good stuff. Right, but you can, like, you know.
They changed the email.
Right.
A child who changed the email.
Yeah.
On there so that they can change the password.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know, use parental controls. There are more. I think over the next couple of years, there's going to be even more power that we have to monitor this. There's, you know, have their phone, have access to their phone and password accounts. You know, they don't. You want to make sure that at any time that, like, that's the deal. Like, if you've got this phone at whatever age you decide you want to, that I can go in and, you know, check it out, and that we're friends, and that I can go and look and see who your friends are, and things like that. I know that for, I think you said 18 is when you've kind of set the cutoff, or when they can do it? Yeah. You know, and I think, you know, another part of that, though, too, is I can also see how maybe giving them access a little bit earlier and being able to be heavily involved to kind of model what that's going to look like, and kind of like put the training wheels on a little bit, because when they do turn 18 and they're off doing their own thing, it may be, if they're, you know, some kids may be a little caught off guard and kind of sucked into it, but if they've been, you know, I don't know, I could see both ways, you know what I mean? It probably depends on the kid
and the
family.
So is it okay to set different limits for different kids?
I think if you can sell it, yeah, but kids are pretty good at, unless there's a fairly significant age difference.
So, like, we have different kids in our home, some
Yeah.
are able to navigate,
Yeah.
different genders,
Yeah.
able to navigate appropriate use more than others.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's kind of what we're at, you know.
Yeah. I think you want to be as consistent as you can, but of course there's going to be some situations where you would need to think of some exceptions to that. As long as you consistently apply those exceptions as well, right?
Well, I'm thinking, even like driving a car, if one of your kids gets a couple speeding tickets, they're gonna lose their driving privileges.
Yeah.
If one of the kids violates your rules, they're
Yeah.
gonna lose those privileges, so.
Yeah.
You could even start out with, you're gonna start out the same, but you can gain more or lose more.
Right. Okay, and last but not least, the magic tool that we have, this is the parents' really only last and best hope, is the Google. There's a lot of new stuff. Like, I just heard about last week a new social media app that I hadn't even heard of, TikTok. Anyone know what TikTok is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I heard about it last week, and now I'm hearing it pop up everywhere.
Yeah, some of them are kids can watch, like, on our big screen, we're allowed to watch TikTok.
Yeah.
But, so we watch it, but nobody's allowed to have TikTok.
Yeah. And so, fortunately, there are a lot of good resources and people that are way better at this than me of keeping track of what the new trends are, what the new apps are, what are the new things you need to look out for. And so, connecting through those, Googling around a little bit, doing some homework, and you got to do that I'd say every couple months, at least every 6 months, because it's a constantly changing landscape. And unless you're right in the middle of it, you're not going to know what's going on. Do you need a hug? Can I hold you? Oh.
I used to have a friend who used to work for internet crime, and so a lot of times I'm like, my child wants to download this app. Can you tell me about it?
Right.
And I was like, okay, this, you know, like kind of thing. I just want to show kids his location.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I've heard that Snapchat does that now too.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's all I got. Any questions, any comments? Good luck, everyone. It's rough. Yeah, we're in it together. No. Thanks for coming, everybody. Braving the snow. I hope everybody gets home safely. Eat some more tacos if you want to take some home. Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Thunderous applause for the record. Yeah. Thunderous.